Today I'm back at the Lions Club Giant Flea Market in New Hartford, Connecticut at Brodie Park, or as I like to call it, just the Brodie Park Flea Market. This is the June 2022 show, and let's see what we can find. This vendor here was selling score-keeping life counters, which I have no idea what those are. I had to look them up. I think it has something to do with Magic the Gathering, but I really don't know. Score-keeping life counters? I don't know what those are.
I don't either. I was hoping you knew.
No.
Is that them? No.
No.
I got more hanging out there.
Maybe it has to do with some game that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
And as you can hear, they were also selling accordions. This is an electric mini bike here, and anytime you buy one of these at a flea market, I would just assume that the battery is dead. It may not be, but you know, if you don't know one way or the other, I would just assume it's dead.
Is that what they do?
Nah, I don't know. It's electric. It's not gas powered, so who knows? The battery might be dead. Here are some cool old military helmets. I think two of them, the green ones, are US, and the darker one I think is German. And I'm pretty sure they're World War II. This big camera here is pretty cool. I think this is called an old large format camera, and I think these came out in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And they were generally professional cameras as far as I know. This is something I wish I had picked up in hindsight. This is a True View stereoscopic viewer. It's very similar to a Viewmaster, except instead of being a circular disc with the images, it's a rectangular disc. It was first introduced in 1931 and was on sale until the late 1960s, and at that point it was actually owned by the same company that owned Viewmaster. You ever seen these before? It's not a Viewmaster, it's True View. Remember Viewmaster was circle?
Yeah, I know.
This one, it looks like a square,
I just saw that.
and it's on top of each other. I've never seen one like that.
And what goes in it? Something.
Well, you can see it instead of circular, it looks like a rectangular
Oh, I've never seen
card.
it like that.
No.
You don't have the old Viewmaster, do you?
Yeah, I have a Viewmaster. I got one recently.
Oh, no, I meant the one that I had. I
No.
had one.
And of course, the Hess trucks. As I've said before, no flea market would be complete without a collection of Hess trucks. This blue and white ceramic pitcher and bowl is an antique wash basin set. These were usually found in homes from the 1800s up until the 1930s or so, and would be used for washing your face and hands before indoor plumbing was really a thing. This amazing lamp here is an antique Dressel railroad switch lantern. Apparently it would have been used in rail yards to indicate switch settings for the trains. And Dressel was bought out in the 1920s, so I believe this would have been pre-1920s. I'm guessing late 1800s, early 1900s. I'm not sure though, because I've never seen one of these before in person, and I think it's pretty amazing. So many Beanie Babies. Remember when these were popular back in the late 90s? For some reason, I'm really into these phones from this era, like I think these like late 50s to the 1980s. I'm trying to get one in every color. but $25 is just a little bit more than I want to spend. I think 10 to 15 is probably a good price for most of those phones.
Remember these?
Oh, yeah.
French dressing for ladies and children's boot shoes?
Boots and shoes?
Boots and shoes.
Hmm.
Oh, it's probably not salad dressing.
No.
Probably a different kind of French dressing.
This toy gun here is pretty cool. This is a 1930s Tom Mix Ralston straight shooters gun. Apparently you would have mailed away for this because this actually comes in the original box, which still has the mailing address on it. And he was asking $65 for it, which seems to be pretty reasonable. I've seen online that they've sold for between like $40 and $100. Again, this is one of those things where I kind of now wish I had picked it up. This box of old Matchbox toys and Lesney toys from the late 1960s, early 70s was a pretty good find. I actually ended up picking this up. They weren't in the best condition, but the trucks like this one that have the trailer on it, I just thought looked pretty cool, and they would, clean up pretty well. I was expecting them to say that, they were going to charge like $5 or $10 per piece, but she actually ended up selling them to me, the entire box, for just $5, so I couldn't pass that up. The main problem with most of them, though, is that they're missing some of the tires, and the tires are actually really hard to find online, which I found out afterwards.
Hey, how much are the toy trucks?
The whole bin is $5.
The whole bin? What the heck? I'll get it. I always get something big here that I have to lug around. What is this?
Does anybody know what this cutting device would be used for? I have no idea. It's sometimes hard to tell how old these Lionel train cars are, because the boxes all look fairly similar going back years and years. But from what I can tell, these ones with the big L in the top left are fairly recent, like 1990s or newer. Now these are old insulators that would be found on old power poles. I think they stopped using them a few decades ago, and they're really not worth a lot of money. The valuable ones, though, are the bright blue glass ones. These are actually green or blue-green, but the bright blue glass ones are very hard to find, apparently. So if you ever see a bright blue glass one, I would say pick it up. This is Barney Bear, the drummer boy. He's an electric robotic bear that was made in Japan in the 1950s. And he's actually remote controlled, which is pretty cool for the 1950s.
Yeah, could you? Thanks.
It wasn't in the best condition though, so I had to pass.
She brought my little cart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Sir, he's got a case of die cast right there.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Here's an old CB radio. I was into CB radios briefly back in the mid-1990s, but then by the time that cell phones came around, it became kind of useless. I love seeing Super Nintendos and Nintendo 64s for sale. These were actually reasonably priced. He had the Super Nintendo at I think $60 and the Nintendo 64 at about $50, and they seem to go for a little bit more than that online. So those were not bad prices, but I've actually got one of each already, so I'll leave those to the next person. This was kind of funny here. A Ronald Reagan hand puppet with boxing gloves on. Not sure what that's all about.
For her what?
any of this stuff.
No. Nope.
These were pretty interesting here. This on the left is an old slide projector, probably from the 50s or 60s. They're asking 20 bucks, which is a decent price. And this box here, I don't know what that was for, but it looks like it's alligator skin probably. This Sears electric organ here, which I think is probably from the 1960s, is pretty cool. They had a good price on it, $35. The only problem is that key is broken and that volume knob is snapped off, and I would imagine it would be very difficult to get that repaired.
These items, unfortunately, are sold.
Oh, too bad. Thanks.
Here's an old Bearcat 5 scanner. This is a police scanner, probably from the 70s, I would guess, maybe early 80s. And I think I've said it before in my videos. The problem with these are they're using crystals that have specific radio frequencies on them. And I don't know if the police and the fire department actually still use those same frequencies. So those may not work anymore. I honestly don't know. And then this is an old CB radio, it looks like. This old Okidata printer here caught my eye. This looks like it's probably from maybe late 70s to mid 80s. It's an old printer for a computer. And I love this era of computers, but printers are the one piece of hardware I'm just really not that interested in. I think the main problem is they're very hard to use because you can't get new ink for them. Cuddles push-button telephone. This looks very 1980s based on those kids and their haircuts.
How's that, huh? Even better?
And now this is another example of something that I really regret not picking up. This telephone here. This telephone is so cool. I don't know what this is from. It's very industrial. It's got all these different buttons on it, and that connector there, I don't know what that is. That must have hooked up to some sort of network connection, I'm guessing. But I really have never seen anything like this before. It looks like it would have been used in like a missile silo or something like that. It's pretty cool. The dial wouldn't go around though, which was kind of odd. So I'm not sure what's wrong there. But God, I wish I had picked that up.
Does not like the bottle, so.
I'm sure pretty much everybody's heard of the board game Clue and the movie that was based on it back in the mid-1980s. This, I think, is the original Clue board game from about 1949 to 1950. It's missing apparently a lot of the pieces though, so I didn't pick it up, but it's still pretty cool.
This is kind of cool.
Amazingly, this lunchbox actually has the thermos in it. Most of them do not. If this were the metal version of the Rambo lunchbox, I probably would have been more interested in that. I love when dealers have things like this where everything's $5 or everything's $1, etc. Usually you'll find something mixed in there that you are interested in and is actually worth, the $5 or $1 or whatever they're asking for it. I didn't see anything that jumped out at me, but I'm sure there's something in there for somebody.
I did.
This guy had a huge selection of old Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars here. But I'd already bought that entire tub of 1960s, 1970s Matchboxes for $5. And then here, he was selling these that are much newer for $5 each. They may be worth that, but, because I had already gotten that deal earlier, it kind of made everything else seem way too expensive.
Never put you in a position.
And yet another staple of flea markets nowadays are early 90s, late 80s baseball cards, sports cards. Just like Beanie Babies and Hess trucks, they're everywhere, and I don't see anybody buying them. These old payphones are great. This one looks like a 1960s Western Electric model. And the thing you have to watch out for, though, is they have locking doors on them, and most of them don't come with the keys. And from my personal experience, it's almost impossible to find a key that fits it. I'm always on the lookout for Blu-ray discs. This guy was asking $5 a piece, which isn't terrible, but the problem is you can find them at Goodwill for about $2 each, and even at Walmart they have a lot of new ones going for about $5 to $10, so it's hard to pay $5 for a used one, in my opinion.
That's what you have to do. Negotiate. What? That's good.
Here's something you don't see for sale too often, a hornet's nest. $20.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know, is that a good deal?
Okay.
Is anybody interested in a hornet's nest?
I did.
You know these are horse teeth. This one. Horse teeth.
And that's probably the most number of crucifixes I've ever seen for sale, at least at a flea market. More late 80s, early 90s baseball cards.
It was changed to 36.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yep.
I see what you're saying, yes. Yes, that's a deal. So
I'll give you a 10.
that I'm just going to do as a general thing. I don't have
So you don't need to lot it.
actually, I do.
Okay.
Because there's a couple on there.
Absolutely. I'll get you there.
And yep, I've got to stop and take a look at the phone. But I've actually already got a black phone just like this. And they're asking $30, which again is more than I would be willing to pay.
My mother I used for
Oh my god.
Desert Storm trading cards. Who remembers those from the early 90s? I don't think you would be able to sell anything like that today. You know, a trading card for an actual war. It's kind of messed up when you think about it. And we can add this to the list of things I wish I had picked up. This Walt Disney's Disneyland book from the 1960s. It's got a lot of great pictures in it of, you know, the park and everything, which I've tried to find old vintage photos of the park online, and it's actually not as easy as you would think. So this would have been great to pick up and, you know, scan a few of those photos. So yet another thing that I wish I had picked up. Hopefully it'll be there in the fall.
How's it going? This year's when you were a kid?
These are interesting here. These appear to be homemade either tables or chairs. I'm not sure which. And they appear to be made out of concrete. But again, I could be wrong. I'm not really sure what they're made out of. I'm leaning towards them being tables though, because I think if you sat on these, you would almost certainly damage them and it would probably not be comfortable. So I'm going to say they're tables. If I'm wrong, let me know.
How much do you think one of these go for?
That is one pink chair.
Hey.
Yeah, we're still there. I think we're going to be there forever. We were only going to live there for 2 years. Holy crap.
This one reminds me of that old song by ZZ Top, Cheap Sunglasses.
Need some sunglasses, $8 each.
Okay, so in case you haven't figured it out, I really like this type of telephone.
See, I have one like this. It's a different connection, but it's got the regular connection here. But I don't know if it would work.
I keep one hooked up at my house when you lose power.
Yeah.
Those still work.
Oh yeah.
We have one of those in our garage that we had to unplug because people on the street who are much older than me freaked out because it was ringing. And I said, "What's that noise? What's that noise? What's that noise?" I'm like, "It's called a phone."
Yeah.
Like back before we had answering machines.
Wow. I've changed my neighbors.
Obama.
So this was a great find in my opinion. These old 8mm films here, probably from the 1930s or 40s roughly, maybe 1950s. But I was originally thinking, you know, they were probably going to ask like $10 each, and that would just be too much money. But luckily I did ask her how much they were, and as you'll hear in a minute, she only wanted $1 a piece for these. And they are worth way more than that. So I got a really great deal. Now the only thing I need to do is get a projector that'll actually play them.
Hey, how much are the movies? $1 a piece. All right, I can't. Yeah, I can't pass that up.
Yeah.
Got 7 of them. Where are you seeing that? Oh. Handmade pottery or something?
Now, I know I've said it before in other videos, but I really don't like it when vendors don't price their stuff or they say make an offer. Because usually, not always, but usually when you make the offer, they think it's too low and then they get upset or annoyed. I just wish they would put, you know, price $50 for the box or best offer, because then that leaves room to negotiate. When you just say make an offer, I mean, one guy's going to offer $10, the other guy might offer $100. So just to avoid the aggravation, put a price on it, please.
Now finally a man who loves duck. Not decoys, but duck.
I just noticed that Jesus action figure there. I wish I had seen that and picked it up and looked at it. I have never seen a Jesus action figure before. That is amazing.
Steady. Hi.
Mm-hmm.
These are some big ammo cans. Usually don't see them this big.
Yeah. It's probably a good price for them. 2 for $30.
Oh, what'd you do?
And you can put stuff in them. They're, well,
Get it open.
they should be water. Yeah, it's rusted.
Yeah.
When they're in good condition, they have rubber seals, so they're airtight.
Oh.
And there you have it. That is the June 2022 showing of the Brodie Park Flea Market. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you next time.